Hey, everybody, and welcome to day 27 of 30 Days of How to Be Successful. We are nearing the end of our time together, but this session is going to be as power packed as every other session that I've given you, and I will remain consistent through this journey with you. And so today I want to continue with our discussion as we've been talking. Now, this may be the first time you've been with us, and you say, what is this even about? Well, I am giving you key principles and tips and techniques and teachings that are going to help you to find success in 30 days or less. Now, when I say success, I'm not telling you you're going to automatically go from being bankrupt to be a billionaire. What I'm telling you is you're going to find new levels of success as you implement these strategies into your life on a consistent and daily basis. All right? So far, we have discussed how to determine or discover your purpose. Number two, develop your purpose. Number three, we've talked about potential predators and the things that are out to kill your potential. Number four, in these 30 days, we have discussed time and how you should view time and use it as an investment and manage yourself in the time you have. Number five, we have began discussing how that we have MindFields, the things that are trying to blow up our success, not in the good way of blowing up, in the bad way of blowing up, in destruction of our success, that are actually within our minds and are actually us defeating ourselves. Yesterday, we began discussing that when we talked about the idea of I'm not good enough, and we talked about that yesterday. Today, I want to jump in, but before I do, I want to real quickly, for you that may be watching for the very first time, tell you a little bit about me real quickly. I have not always been in this position of being successful. For many, many years, I struggled, I settled, I was stranded, and now I found success. And so I'm teaching you from real life application as well as educational application from mentors that I go behind and learn from. And I'm sharing some of the wealth of knowledge from their experiences as well as mine, as well as education, and giving you it all here in this one place. And I'm doing this free because I know we've been in lockdown and across most of the world. And I want to encourage you, because if you had a vision and you felt like 2020 was your year and you have had that vision distorted and blurred, I want to renew that vision in you today. I want to help remove the cataracts of COVID-19 and give you clarity again. And that's why I'm doing this. So as we look into it, I am the founder and CEO of Solution Ministries, and I'm excited about what that ministry employs and does. I'm able to be a life coach as well as a business coach. And in that, I'm able to help you personally as well as professionally. Not only that, I've been a pastor for over 20 years and helped people for 20 years or more to be able to find success in their life and be able to achieve higher levels of success than they ever dreamed they could possibly do. And so I've got a lot of experience under my belt. If that's not enough, I've been doing this now for almost 30 days. This is 30 days of how to find success with me, Jody Almond, and I am also the author of a #1 best-selling book on Amazon called Going All In, Finding Success Through Surrender. And it made a #1 bestseller in the first 5 days of being in the market. And I have seen great success with that. And I am thankful for the success that I have been able to accomplish in that. So that gives you a little bit of story behind me, what I've been able to accomplish, the success I've been able to find in my life. And can I tell you something? I'm just now really getting into my success part of my life. I'm really starting to see in my personal, my professional, my pastoral, and every aspect of my life, not just in one, across the board, I am seeing success. And I want to share a lot of that with you so that I can help you find success as well. And so in doing that, that's why I'm doing these sessions. Now, we are talking right now again about MindFields, and I'm not going to go back and get into that for time's sake tonight, but we're talking about MindFields. And tonight's discussion that I want to deal with in MindFields is really talking about not like we did yesterday, not am I enough, but the fact that I'm not enough, but the fact that I do not have enough. We're going to talk about your resources. And the reason why is because I feel that it is imperative for you to understand the way you view your resources is a minefield. Because so often, and my picture alludes to so much of that, and I'm going to get into it tonight, but so often I find the way our perspective leads to our prosperity in what we're trying to be successful in. Now, when I use the word prosperous, it doesn't always mean that it's going to be lucrative in the form of finances. I could be prosperous in being successful as a husband or father. I can be prosperous in being successful in giving you this information that is totally free. It's not costing me a dime. Or costing you a dime. I could be prosperous in being a mentor. You understand what I'm saying? And so I can have prosperity in many areas of my life. And I believe that it's God's will. I am a faith-based teacher, and I believe that it's God's will for you to be prosperous. As a matter of fact, Jeremiah 29 says that he has plans to prosper you. All right? And so as we look at that tonight, let's jump in because I want to get as much of this to you as I can. And so as we talk about your resources, what you need to understand in looking at your resources is that there's two ways to look at it. When you talk about, I don't have enough, the way that people look at it when they have the mentality of not having enough is that they look at it from a position of scarcity. The other group of people look at it from a position of abundance. And you say, well, when I have plenty, I look at it from abundance. When I have lack, I look at it from scarcity. But let me tell you this, your perspective on what you have available to you as resource is key to your success. It's key to your success. And so the question is, how do you view it? How do you view it? Do you view it as scarcity or abundance? And here's why I ask that, because our attitudes towards scarcity and abundance and other aspects of our lives greatly influence our success. Stephen Covey explains these concepts beautifully in his classic, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, where he writes, most people are deeply scripted in what I call the scarcity mentality. They see life as having only so much, as though there were only one pie out there. And if someone were to get a big piece of the pie, it would mean less for everyone else. The scarcity mentality is the zero-sum paradigm of life. People with a scarcity mentality have a very difficult time sharing recognition and credit, power or profit, even with those who help in the production. They also have a hard time being genuinely happy for the success of other people. The abundance mentality, on the other hand, flows out of a deep inner sense of personal worth or security. It's the paradigm that there is plenty out there and enough to spare for everybody. It results in the sharing of prestige, recognition, profits, and decision-making. It opens possibilities, options, alternatives, and creativity. Covey tells us that when you live in a world of scarcity, you compete for available resources, even when there is an abundance of them. Isn't that awesome? So when you think about this, I want you to consider this. How do you view it? Do you view it as scarcity or do you view it as abundance? Now, let me tell you why I ask that. Because so often we look at what we have as a resource and we don't understand the true value and the true power behind the resource. If you'll allow me, I want to share with you a story that many of you, whether you're faith-based like me or not, you know the story. Now, let me clarify. If you're not faith-based, I'm not here to cram it down your throat. Take these concepts and apply them whether you're faith-based or not. But I need you to understand that my success has come from being partnered with my Creator, and that is why I employ my belief system into so much of what I teach, because I found that through that belief system and in my God, who is Jesus Christ, through that belief system, that I have found great success. Okay? If yours isn't, I'm not here to cram him down your throat. I respect you, and he doesn't force himself upon you. My God is a gentleman, and so I will not force him upon you, right? So here we go. When we talk about this, I want you to think about the story of Moses. When you think about the story of Moses, here's what I want you to comprehend. In the story of Moses, Moses is being sent to Egypt with no weaponry. He's not got a sword. He doesn't have any kind of tank or artillery, right? He doesn't have even as much as a gun because they didn't have guns back then. But Moses is going into Egypt to tell Pharaoh, who is his half-brother from years, or step-brother, whatever, from years gone by, because he was adopted into the family of Pharaoh by Pharaoh's daughter. And he has ran and hid from Pharaoh and for his life for the last 40 years. Now he has to go back. And God sends him back with one thing, a staff. When he gets there, he's in front of Pharaoh's presence, and Pharaoh has his magicians, and God tells Moses to toss down his staff. When he throws down his staff, it turns into a serpent. The magicians say, this is a common trick. We can do this. And they throw down pieces of sticks and they turn into serpents. But here's the deal. Moses' staff swallows up their staves or their sticks, and then Moses takes it by the tail and it returns to a stick and a staff. Now, I'll tell you all that for this reason, because Moses had in his hand what he needed for success. Here's another one really quickly. Elijah is hungry. There is a famine in the land, right? There's no food, no water. Everything is dried up. Everything is, what you have is what you have. There's a widow woman in a town called Zarephath. The widow woman in Zarephath has only enough meal, which is flour, and only enough water, and only enough oil to make one loaf of bread, if you will. And with that loaf of bread, she's going to divide it between her and her son. She's widowed. She has a son, her and her son, and they're going to eat this bread and they're going to die. What she does when Elijah shows up, he says, ma'am, would you give me something to eat? And she says, listen, I only have enough for me and my son. And he says, just feed me first. And so all of a sudden, she uses what she has. She looks at what she has, okay? She looks at what she has and she says, well, all I have is enough for one cake of bread. With this one cake of bread, me and my son are going to eat it and die. Elijah says, give it to me. She looks back at it and she says, if I do this, I have nothing left. But instead of looking at it as lack, she looked at it as abundance. And she said, surely, if I do this for him, his God will do something for me. And when she gave Elijah that bread and that oil and that water mixed together to make a cake of bread, with that meal to make a cake of bread, Elijah ate to his fill, and then he said, now bake one for you and your son. Now, common sense tells us I don't have the resource I need to do this. But what she does is she goes out to her barrels, she gets enough meal, she gets enough water, and she gets enough oil. What are you telling me, Jody? I'm telling you tonight that you have resources you do not even comprehend because of your source. Your source, if you know my Creator, if you know my God, He is your source. He has abundant supply of resource for your life. And whatever He has gifted you to do in your purpose, He will equip you to do, enable you to do, empower you to do, if you will continue to develop your purpose. And so that's why we're coming to this at the tail end of this. But tonight, let me jump in because I want to continue helping you about this idea of scarcity and abundance. What did Jesus say? And this is the last faith thing I'm going to give you tonight, and I'm going to teach you something. But what did Jesus say when He was talking about scarcity and abundance? He said, I have come that you may have life and you might have it more abundantly. Did you hear what I said? He said, I will not only want you to have life in the sense of eternal salvation, I want you to live the life on earth abundantly. I want you to have abundant life. So why do we look at it as scarcity? Because just previous to that statement, He said, the thief comes only to steal, to kill, and to destroy. but I've come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. So what are you trying to tell me, Jody? I want you to realize there's 5 areas that almost every person will use as a minefield. There's 5 minefields in the minefield of not having enough and the minefield of scarcity, all right? There's 5 minefields. These are what they are. Number 1, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. Jody, I would love to find success. I just don't have the time. Now, I would encourage you to go back and watch the previous videos on time management, because I believe you do have the time. You're just choosing to spend your time rather than invest your time. So the number 1 excuse I hear often with clients I talk to is, Jody, I would love to be able to have success like you do, but I don't have the time. Number 2, I do not have the skill. Jody, I don't have the skill to do that. If it's in your purpose, if it's in your gifting, you have the skill. You have the skill to do it. You may have to develop your skill. You may have to continue growing in your skill. You may not be the best yet, but you have to continue working to be the best. You have to continue to enhance your skill, right? Number 3, experience. Jody, I do not have the experience in this area to be successful. Can I tell you something, folks? If you only knew how many times I've had that minefield in my life, all of these, to be honest, and that minefield of experience of, I've never done this before, right? I don't know how to begin. I don't know how to do it. This is part of the reason I'm giving you these sessions free for 30 days, to give you some insight, to give you some application to how to begin making this happen in your life. If you want it, it's there for the taking. As I said, Stephen Covey said that there is not just this big slice of the pie keeps regenerating itself. Did you hear the story about Jesus feeding 5,000 on a hillside? They saw lack. He saw abundance. Why? Because he knew the resource from his Father was enough to feed more than they had, and they ate to their fill and they had 12 baskets left over. Now, you may consider that all a myth, and you may consider that all fairy tale, and that's good and fine. But I'm telling you, logically, there is no big pie in this world. There is plenty for everybody. The difference maker is which way your perspective is and how you view it. Do you view it as, what I have is nothing? I don't have enough? I don't have enough time, Jody, to be successful. I don't have enough skill, Jody, to be successful. I don't have enough experience in this area to be successful. Then find ways to make time. Invest your time. Don't spend it. Begin honing in your skill. Begin learning and get experience more and more and more. Let me ask you this. If you don't do it, how are you going to get experience? If you begin to do it, at least tomorrow, you can say, I've got a day's experience in how to bake a cake, in how to use a program, in how to begin talking to people, in podcasting, in blogging, in writing, in whatever. I've got a day's experience in how to be a successful husband, how to be a successful wife. Did you fail? Most likely. Most likely. The ladder to success is full of steps of failure, but the difference is when I fail and fall down, I get back on that rung and I go another rung. And if I fail and I fall down 2 rungs, I go 3 rungs. You got to keep getting up. It's not about how many times you get knocked down in life. It's how many times you get up. And that's what separates successful people from those that struggle and those that settle and those that stay stranded. And I want to see you achieve success. So let's keep moving. Number 4, money. Ooh, ain't this a big one? Jody, I don't have enough money. Now stick with me, because at the end of these 5, I'm going to share with you about me writing that bestseller and tell you how that unfolded, all right? Number 5, knowledge. Knowledge. Jody, I don't have enough knowledge, right? Now, if you'll notice with me, all 5 of those are in my picture. my resources. I have time as a resource. To the right with the bullseye with the dart, I have some type of skill in my life. I may not be hitting the bullseye because I've not developed it, but I have some skills in my life. Number 3, money down in the bottom left corner. I have access to finances. I may just not be appropriating and using my finances to the best of the abilities I need to so that I can be successful. Number 4, we find there that I don't have enough experience over on the right-hand corner. All these things this lady has in her life. Maybe you say, I don't have one of those. I don't have 2 of those. I sure don't have 20 of those like she does. Hey, listen, what experience do you have? And what experience do you lack in that you need to have? Begin growing your experience. Number 5, I don't have the education. I don't have the knowledge. If you notice that little graduate down there, he's got a phone, he's got a tablet, he's got writing utensils, he's got access. You see, in our day and time, folks, we can't say that we don't have knowledge to something with the World Wide Web, with YouTube, with courses, with mentors, with motivational teachers, with all the things, with books. You don't even have to go new school, go old school, grab a book, go to the library. You can learn if you want to learn. You have knowledge because you don't want knowledge, right? You don't have it because you don't want it. If you want it, you'll have it. Now let me ask you this. You see, I've battled in each of these areas. And what I was going to tell you is when I went to write the book, I'm not going to go back and explain this, but yesterday's teaching was a big part of that. I felt like I wasn't enough, right? So I had to be the perfection guy, and I studied for over a year on how you would effectively and efficiently and successfully write a book. And so I have a lot of knowledge now on those issues. But what happened was I'd written the book. I was in talks with a a person who was going to print my book so that I could self-publish and sell to my people that I was in contact with. All of a sudden, I come across Facebook one day and I come across this little ad that said, would you like to be one of our next authors? And I read the criteria underneath it and the context, and I submitted an application very, very flippantly. And what I mean by that is I did it in a sense that it was just sarcasm to me. I'm not going to get this. I'm not really what you'd call a writer in the world of writing. So this is my first book, and nothing's going to happen out of this. You see, I was looking at what I had as a resource and the people I was attached to as well. And I knew I wasn't attached to anybody who had been a big name author, who had been chosen by this major publishing company to be one of their authors. But anyway, to make a long story short, I got accepted. Now here's the catch. The way I learned to write, period, outside of what I learned in school, the way I learned anything about writing a book and formatting a book and all that, I went to the internet and I learned. So you see what I did? I said, I don't have the knowledge, but the knowledge is accessible if I really feel like this is part of my purpose. Number 2, I didn't have the skill. Now I could write, but what I had to do was tap back into my purpose. I am a communicator. Even though I had never written things for people before, I communicate all the time. And so I had to go back and tap into my communication skills just like I do for this, and I had to diversify it. Right? Number 3, I don't have enough experience. I've never written a book. I had no experience, not enough, none. Number 4, I don't have enough time. Where was I going to get the time? I had to make the time. I sacrificed the time. I stayed up late nights writing on my book, got up early mornings writing on my book. I had to make the time happen. I had to learn that I was spending time doing other things. This was an investment of time that could give me a return in influence, in impact, and in income. This was an investment. Okay? And so that's what I did. Now, lastly, I didn't have the money. Because this is what happened. When I got accepted, they told me for them to publish my book was going to cost me $5,000. They could not publish until I gave them the down payment of $5,000 or the full payment of $5,000. Here's the problem. I had other things that had tied up every dime, every dollar, except for my weekly income. Every dollar I had in savings was tied. It was gone for another resource that I needed to take care of in my life. So it was happened at a very, what I would look at, lacking and scarce time in my life. But here's what happened, folks. And I'm sharing this with you to encourage you. Here's what happened. I started saying, what can I do? I can share my vision and my purpose with others. And this is called like jump starting a business. It's, there's names for it and all this stuff. It's called Kickstarter campaigns. So I did a Kickstarter campaign and I went on Facebook and I started doing live videos. And I began sharing with people some concepts from what this book was going to do and how it was going to impact people's lives. Let me just say, in less than 30 days, I had been blessed, okay, that people saw the vision, bought into the vision, and supported the vision. And in less than 30 days, I had been given, through people I was in contact with, $5,000, excluding $500. I had $500 left, so I'd been given $4,500 to be able to publish my book. Now, the reason I share that with you is because I want to talk to you in the last part about your solution. Your solution. Because here's what I know. Whatever you focus on is what you will look at it as. If you focus on the lack of something, you will never have enough. If you focus on the abundance that you have, even though you don't see it, you believe that there are resources at your disposal that you can tap into. What do you mean by that? I think number one, you have to focus on and make the best of what you have, like Moses did with that staff in his hand, like that widow of Zarephath did with her oil, meal, and water. You have to focus on what you have, like Jesus did with 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, what Jesus did, right? So you have to focus on what you have. And when you focus on what you have, you begin implementing what you have. Number 2, you have to continue pushing forward in the areas that you are confident and competent. Again, these are areas we've already discussed. You begin moving forward where you feel confident. You can't move forward very well in areas you don't feel confident. So in those areas you lack confidence, build confidence. In the areas you're overconfident, keep moving forward, right? Now, number 3, explore your opportunities around you. Like I told you with my book, I had the internet, right? I had a few people that had written a book and self-published that I talked to and got advice from and got hooked up with their printer, okay? I had Facebook that led me to being chosen by a big publishing house, and now my book is worldwide instead of in a little bitty circle of people that I thought I was going to reach, okay? So look at your opportunities. Number 2, look at the people, the others around you that are accessible to you. Look at the people around you that you have access to, okay? And the reason I say that is because I've given you access to me now for 30 days. I hope you're using the information that I'm giving you. I hope you're making it applicable to your life. I hope you're taking it and making it relevant to your scenario. You may not be in the realm of writing a book, but you're in the realm of trying to start a business. Start where you're at. Start working now towards building that business. Do what you can do with what you have. This is what I know. This is what I know. And if you are in the business world, you know this too. If you have anybody working for you and they begin to do great with what they have, in other words, you see them being faithful over the little bit of responsibility you've given them, you're going to give them more responsibility. You're going to give them more resource. Let me explain it in simple terms and I'm done tonight. If I have somebody working for me and that person working for me, let's say that I've got somebody working for me and I ask them to, we're working in a restaurant, okay? We're working in a restaurant and I say, hey, I need you to make sure the bathrooms are clean, the napkin trays, the napkin dispensers are full, the ketchup is full, just make sure everything stays clean and full. And they do that. And they do it great. I mean, they do a fantastic job. I tell them to clean the bathroom one time per shift, and they're in there every hour checking the bathroom. And I take notice of this because these people are go-getters. These people are showing up, filled up. And these people have a desire and an aspiration to do more than just fill up a napkin tray. But they're going to do their best. They're going to be the best darn front-end person I've ever had. So now what happens? Now I look at that person and I'm like, wow. Hey, could you also expand your, I notice you clean the bathrooms more than once, so you have a little extra time. Can you expand to the parking lot and make sure the parking lot's clean during your shift too? So now they're doing that. Now, some people would say, oh man, he's just taking advantage of me. No, what I notice is that they've been faithful over the little bit I've given them. Will they be faithful if I continue to give them more? So before you know it, this person is my general manager because they have worked up the ladder and showed their efficiency and their effectiveness and their desire to grow into bigger areas as I'm working with them. And all of a sudden, they've went from front end gross jobs to being the general manager of my restaurant. Now, what happened? They were faithful with the resources I gave them. Okay? I told you this story already. Colonel Sanders started making chicken in his kitchen. He took the resource of being able to make good chicken and began to expand it. Right? He said, and I'm going to go out on a whim. I'm going to buy an extra couple packs of chicken. Okay, he probably killed them. All right, let's be honest. I don't know exactly all the story, but either way, he began selling instead of just supplying for him and his family. He began selling his chicken. And then before you know it, he's got a little storefront. Before you know it, he's got a restaurant. Before you know it, he's got a franchise. And all that happened at 65 when he franchised it. Can I tell you something? Go back and watch these former sessions if you haven't. Share these with your family and friends. Be impactful to their life. I used to be the guy that would look at a video like this and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm keeping this to myself. I'm putting it in my own Disney vault. I'm not letting anybody else have it. Can I tell you what I've learned? There's enough. There's enough. Share it with people. Don't be afraid if they take your little piece of the pie. There's plenty of pie. There's not your piece and my piece. There's plenty. How? Because my source will meet all of our needs according to his riches and glory. There's plenty. There's plenty, right? So I hope this has been a help to you tonight. Don't let the minefield of scarcity and lack of resources, don't let it get you. Begin transforming your mindset to I have an abundant supply. I have plenty. In closing today, let me say this. This is my last, I've used a lot of faith in this one today, all right? Because when you're looking at something and you don't see it, it takes faith. So I'm coming from my faith base today, but let me tell you what I know. My God is not a God of just enough. My God is a God of more than enough, El Shaddai. And I want you to be encouraged today that he's got more than enough gifting, empowerment, right? Opportunities, and he's got more than enough access to resources that he can meet every need you got. So don't stress over it. Just look at what you have and begin working right where you're at towards your success with what you have. This video is one of those things. Begin sharing it. The more you share, the more you care, and the more he cares about what you share. And so you begin to share, you begin to bless others, and I promise you'll get blessed. Until tomorrow, have a great day.